Hi there. So we've talked about the testes and where sperm are formed, and we've talked about the penis and how it's structured, but we need to talk about everything in between. How we get the sperm from the testes to the outside of the body, and what else has to go with them so that everything works. All right, so to begin with, let's go back to this diagram looking at the inside of the male body from the side. And we'll start again with the testis, which is where the sperm are formed. It's suspended in the scrotum, as I mentioned. And after the sperm are formed in the testes, they move into the epididymis, which is that mohawk type structure on the outside of the testis. This is where sperm mature and also where they are stored until ejaculation. At the moment that ejaculation begins, the sperm move from the epididymis into this tube called the vas deferens. Now, in this diagram, it's kind of confusing. It actually looks like this tube goes over a bone and then through the middle of the bladder, which it does not, but that'll be more clear in the next slide that I show you. Anyway, sperm moves through the vas deferens and it stops right here. Now, let's take a look at what's around there. This is the bladder, so this stores urine. And when actually, let me follow the order of the slide. This gland underneath that's kind of shaped like a small apple is called the prostate gland. There's another gland behind the bladder on top of the prostate known as the seminal vesicle. And the vas deferens and the seminal vesicle both kind of meet together. Their little ducts combine into what's called the ejaculatory duct. And then the ejaculatory duct connects with the urethra, which is this tube here. Now, there's one more tiny little gland underneath the prostate, right at the end of the penis, and this is called the bulbourethral gland. This is the one that's responsible for the clear, slippery fluid known as precum or pre-ejaculate that comes out earlier in arousal. Its job is actually to cleanse the urethra of any remnants of urine because that would be toxic to the sperm. So the precum comes out during the erection, cleans the urethra out, and then the sperm and the semen, the rest of the components, can travel the urethra without risking damage to the sperm. All right, so this is the urethra. The urethra connects to the bladder and carries urine and also carries semen, which is why we need to have the pre-ejaculate go through to clean it. There's also a sphincter, a circular muscle that closes so that during ejaculation, the urine doesn't come out of the bladder and mix with the semen. There are cases where that sphincter fails, and during ejaculation, the semen will actually go into the bladder instead of leaving through the penis. This is called retrograde ejaculation. The urethral opening is the opening in the tip of the penis that the urine or semen emerges from. And here we can see the glands, which we've already talked about. The corpus spongiosum, which surrounds the urethra from the glands all the way back to the prostate. And the corpus cavernosum, the cylinders that become the most rigid during an erection. Now, we also in this image have the rectum, which is the piece of the digestive tract just before the anus. That's the part that when waste comes into the rectum and stretches that tube, it makes you feel like you have to go to the bathroom. So this is the rectum. And then the anus is actually two sphincters, two circular muscles, one internal, one external. Now, there's a great deal of sensation in the anus, and there's also a great deal of sensation in the prostate. So there are a fair number of men who enjoy either insertion into the anus and rectum as a way of stimulating the anus and also the prostate, whether that is a finger or a toy or a penis, that is pleasurable. There are nerves in the prostate that have given it the nickname of the male G spot because it intensifies the experience of the orgasm enormously. Now, this is also how doctors have to go in to check the prostate because you can't get through here. There's too much tissue in between. There's a bone over here, and this is your spine coming down. So the only way to check to see if the prostate is enlarged is to actually insert fingers into the anus, into the rectum, and feel for any unusual growth that way. Okay, and anus, which I already talked about. Oh, and perineum. And I think I didn't say this, I don't remember, but the perineum, this stretch of skin between the back of the scrotum and the anus, also commonly known as taint. This is also potentially a pleasure area for a lot of men because pressure on the perineum can stimulate the root of the penis, but also stimulate the prostate gland. All right, this diagram makes it a little bit easier to see how the tubes connect. Now we are looking from behind, but we've removed everything else in the body so we can see what's going on. We have the testes where the sperm form, the epididymis where they mature and are stored, the vas deferens, and now you can see that that comes up and goes around behind the bladder and connects here. And here's our bladder. These are the seminal vesicles, which are going to produce a large part of the semen, the rest of the substance that is ejaculated. The prostate gland just under the bladder, and you can see the tube running through here. This is the bulbourethral gland, the one that produces the pre-ejaculate or pre-cum. And here you can see the urethra passing through the penis to the outside of the body, to the urethral opening here. You can see the glands, which is corpus spongiosum, and the corpus spongiosum extending all the way up to where the penis emerges from the prostate. And what just lit up? Now I don't even know. Okay, missed it. The corpora cavernosa, which are the cylinders that actually become far more rigid. All right, this shows you how things happen in time. So we start in the seminiferous tubules where the sperm are produced, and that little blue dot is representing the sperm. After they are produced, they move to the epididymis where they mature and they're stored. Now, this is happening continuously, has nothing to do with ejaculation other than the rate speeds up after we get rid of a load. Now, during arousal, when there's an erection, which I can't do with this image, we start to see secretions from the bulbourethral gland, the clear slippery fluid that's going through the urethra and cleansing it of any remnants of urine. Then, during ejaculation, the sperm move from the epididymis through the vas deferens. The seminal vesicles produce fluid, and that joins the sperm. Now we're about to enter into the prostate through the ejaculatory duct. The prostate makes its own fluid, which joins the others. And then in the last bits of contraction, the combination of the three pass through the urethra to the outside of the body. Now, what is semen for? Well, it's made from these two glands. Most of it comes from the seminal vesicle. Now, you have to know that sperm are really just traveling DNA. All right, they're not carrying any of the other stuff that we see in a cell. We're just trying to get those chromosomes to meet with the egg. So that means they don't have any stored fuel in order to power their tail and swim upstream. So the seminal vesicles produce sugars that the sperm can sort of reach outside and grab and use as fuel. The seminal vesicles also have when these two substances mix, it produces a clot, it gels, and this keeps the semen in place until the environment is suitable for the sperm to swim away. Seminal vesicles also produce prostaglandins, and prostaglandins are important for dissolving mucus, which is usually blocking the way to get to the uterus. It's covering the cervical opening, which we're going to talk about soon. Prostaglandins also cause uterine contraction. So, if you've ever heard the advice given to women who are hoping to go into labor because they are 9 months plus pregnant, they're often told, to go have sex. A lot of people think that it's just because they're getting jostled around, which does have an impact. But it's actually the prostaglandins causing the uterus to contract that often will trigger labor. We also have in the prostate gland a clot dissolving enzyme so that the sperm can swim away. And very importantly, a buffer. This buffer neutralizes the environment of the vagina. The vagina is very acidic. It's acidic, which helps to prevent bacteria from growing there. It's a protection. But sperm don't like acid. It will kill them. They won't be able to make it to their destination. So this buffer neutralizes it and makes it safe for the sperm to swim away. Sorry.